Good morning. This is about my day. This is roasted red pepper that I'm roasting. And I'm just going to go over my day in this video, a day in the life. And I'm showing you my starter, how bubbly it is here. Very active sourdough starter. Then I'm going to show you some of the herbs that I started drying. I've got some blue spruce tips and I got basil and sage. Then over here I'm showing you my Azure standard haul. I had gotten some seeds, some lemon verbena, some sunflower seeds and sesame seeds. Now I'm going to start a sourdough loaf. I am making a Mediterranean loaf, and here I'm adding the water. It is 1 1/3 cup of water, and I'm getting the other third right now. To that, I'm adding my bubbly sourdough starter that I've showed you. I'm adding 1/2 cup. Look at how nice and bubbly it is. You're going to see once it touches the water. This is how you know when your sourdough is ready. I'm going to show you how it floats. It's floating on top of the water. That's when you know your yeast is ready. When it doesn't do the float test, your dough is not ready to make bread. So that's 1/2 cup of starter going into the bowl. And I'm going to scrape off all that goodness. You don't want to waste any of it. You want that whole 1/2 cup. And now I'm mixing it here. You want to mix it completely into your water. And now I'm getting my salt ready. A lot of people use 2 teaspoons of salt. I'm adding 1 1/2. And you want to mix that in as well. You want to combine all that before you add your flour. Now I'm going to add my flour. And this one turned out to be a little dry. You're going to see that when I go to mix it. But it calls for 3 1/2 cups of flour. And you do not want no bleach in your flour. You want a good flour. So I get mine from Azure. You want a living flour that's going to create your dough to rise. Because a lot of the flours out there, they're stale or they're not really good flours. So I order mine from Azure Standard. So now I'm mixing that all in. And I want to make sure that I get a shaggy dough. But I don't want it dry. So you're going to see in a few minutes that it's completely dry. Even though it calls for 1 1/3 cup of water and 3 1/2 cups of flour. So I had to add a little bit more water. And I think at this point I added another 1/2 cup of water, all total. So I think I should have added 2 cups of water here instead of 1 1/3. But it all came out in the long run. You'll see at the end of the video. So you want to keep mixing that until you get a shaggy dough. You don't want to use your hands because you're going to be doing some stretch and folds. I learned a lot making sourdough, and one thing I know is that if you follow this recipe like I'm telling you, your dough is going to come out excellent. I was trying to get the consistency that I needed. And you can tell now that it's starting to take all that flour. You want to use all of that up. And it's getting really shaggy here. And that's okay. Even though it has to sit and the gluten has to form, this dough comes out amazing every time I do it this way. So you just want to mix that flour in until you get all that flour incorporated into the dough. Then you're going to leave it. You're going to leave it to sit for like an hour, maybe hour and a half. And then you want to do your stretch and folds. So I'm going to end up covering this. And I'm going to put it in a warm place. And at the day that I was doing this, I was making some food. And you're going to see that that food video is going to come up in this one as well. Because I'm going to share the meal. Because this is a day in the life. And I'm going to show you what we had for dinner. I'm showing you how the shaggy dough is supposed to look. And now I'm going to cover it. I'm getting a clean tea towel out. I don't want any that I have used in the kitchen. I went to the drawer and got a clean one out. So now I'm covering it so it can sit for like an hour, hour and a half. I'm showing you again the shaggy dough. So now, this is going to be my first stretch and fold. You want to get a little bit of water on your hands. You don't want no oil, so I'm showing you that I'm putting my hands in the water and I'm going to pull the dough. I'm pulling it up and I'm doing stretch and then I'm going to fold it. And that's all right if your hands get a little sticky, just put it back in the water. And now I'm turning the dough and I'm doing another stretch and fold. I'm going to do this on 4 times. I'm working my way around that bowl. I might have done 1 or 2 extra, but I don't think so. Not in this video. So I'm just pulling the dough and let it stretch. And I'm going to let it fall over on itself. Yeah, I did it 1 extra time, I think. I find that doing the stretch and folds instead of mixing it for 10 minutes works a lot better for sourdough. I did more than 4 here, but that's okay. This dough turns out beautiful. Now I'm washing my hands off. And I'm covering it back up and I'm going to let it sit for about 30 to 40 minutes. And now I'm back on my second stretch and fold. You can see that it's stretching a little bit more now because it has time to set in between them stretching folds. It's going further up. And now I'm washing my hands and emptying the water. Now I'm back for the third time. I'm showing you the bubbles and I'm showing you the dough, how it looks now. This is our third stretch and fold. That you can see that gluten react now. You're getting more bubbles and the dough is getting more pliable. So I'm setting it off to the side because now I'm going to add my mix-ins. So here I got some rosemary. And I'm putting it on the top before I fold it in. I'm also going to add some chopped garlic. And I'm going to cut up some calamari olives. This is a Mediterranean loaf. I'm showing you how it looks here with adding the mix-ins. And now I'm going to stretch and fold that into the dough. And if some fall out, that's okay. You just add them right back in. Now I'm adding some more of the mix-ins. I'm adding the rosemary, the garlic, and some more of the calamari olives. I'm keeping these olives just for my bread. There won't be no contamination because I'll be making more bread. So now I'm doing the last stretch and fold. And I'm adding the rest of that rosemary just to get rid of it. And more garlic. And more of the calamari olives. So now I'm going to do 1 or 2 more stretch and folds. And I'm going to let it sit again. Like I said, if they fall off, just put them right in your dough. You can see how the dough is starting to look after it has sat from being shaggy. It's more stretchable. Now I'm washing off my hands. Now here I'm showing that I've started dinner. I'm getting out some parchment, and we're going to have these pork chops. I can't have a lot of red meat or pork. I can have chicken and fish, but this day here, I looked it up and found out that I could still have pork. Long's is very lean. And I'm going to wash my hands, because I'm going to be adding the seasons to this meat and let it sit at room temperature. I'm going to be putting garlic powder on this. I'm using a lot of garlic lately for my heart. And I can't have salt. So what I'm doing is I'm adding some fresh ground pepper. I did put salt on that bread that you saw, but I'm not going to be eating that. I'm going to be selling that. So here I'm showing you, after we put the mix-ins in, I'm getting ready to do a bowl. So I was going to line the bowl with a parchment and put the bread in, but then I realized it was sticking. So I went back. You'll see that I made this mistake, and I'm going to show you the mistakes in my videos. So you'll be aware not to do what I did. So I'm taking the dough and I'm scooping it out right on the parchment. And that's a sticky dough. I'm getting all that with my bench scraper. Trying to get all of it. You see how it's sticking to that bowl. And how I'm trying to get it all off. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm going to show you is the mistake I made on this, not realizing it until the end. That's why I wanted to show you this in the video. So I'm finally realizing how it's sticking to the parchment. And said, oh, I messed up. There I go get my flour. And I'm going to be putting it on the top, thinking I'm going to rectify this situation. You're going to find out that I did not, because I should have put it on the bottom. So here I am flattening it out, realizing that the whole time I need to see how I'm working with it and realizing it's sticking. That is too much stickage. You don't want that. You'll see how I fix the situation. I grab another piece of parchment. Actually, I think I put it on my counter and added the flour. Then I grabbed the parchment. And I don't want to waste any of that. You're going to see me get my bench scraper to get that off. Because this dough turned out amazing. I just wanted to show you the accidents right on the camera so you guys don't do the same thing as what I did. So I get a bench scraper and I tried to get some of that off because I don't want to waste it. And there's the glob that I got off. And then I threw that away. So here I think I add some more flour and knead it to the top and flatten it out. And then I get my parchment to put back on. Yeah, I'm going to work with the dough a few minutes just to put some flour on it. Gonna roll it. And then I'm pushing it back towards myself to give it some tension. And I'm getting a little bit more flour because I realize I don't have enough. So I'm making it into a ball. And I'm flattening it back out to make sure all the air is out. Now I'm rolling it up here. And now I'm going to keep on moving it towards myself to give it some tension. So I got another piece of parchment here, and I'm flouring it this time. And I'm putting my ball of dough on it. And I'm putting some on the top because I'm going to cut the dough. You want to cut the center of it. You can do a design. You can do, everybody does it differently. You just want to make sure that when it's baking, that it releases from the inside. So I'm going to cut the top of this. And what you're hearing in the background is my cat snoring. She's laying right beside me as I'm filming this video. So I'm scoring the bread. And I do have a razor blade. I just have not got it out to learn how to put it together. But I'm just scoring the bread. It's going to re-rise again. And now I'm going to put it in my bowl and let it rise some more. Here I am showing you. And I'm covering it back up. I'm going to let it sit while my oven preheats. And now I'm back to the dinner, and I'm showing you the pork chops that I took out of the oven. I baked them at 350 degrees for 30 minutes, and I'm preparing dinner. On this day, we're having baked pork chop, and I'm putting some brown rice that I've microwaved. It's one of them 1-cup measures, which is just enough for me and my husband. And I'm serving it with glazed carrots that I prepped in the oven with just some olive oil and some honey for sweetness. And that's what we're having for dinner on this day. And now I'm showing you the bread. After it rised, it's quite high. I'm preheating my oven to 450 degrees. I'm putting in the vessel that I'm using, and you want to leave it in there for 10 minutes to get hot. Then you want to add it to the hot pan that's been in the oven for 10 minutes, and you want to cook it for 20 minutes with the cover on, 20 minutes with the cover off. I'm showing you I have 25 seconds left on this oven, and I'm getting ready to take the cover off. Your oven's to be at 450 degrees. You can see the cover's on. I'm showing you that I'm pulling it out, and I'm taking the cover off for the last 20 minutes of the cook time. So 20 minutes with the cover on at 450 and 20 with the cover off. And now I'm down to my last 30 seconds of the bake time, and I'm showing you that I'm about ready to remove the bread. And look at my beautiful bread. Look at this, how gorgeous it is. It came out perfect. I'm going to show you how beautiful the crumb came out. Look at that. This bread is so, so good. You guys got to try it. It is so delicious. I only had a small piece last night to try it, and I gave my husband part of it. But I had made this for an order. It didn't sell, so I'm going to have this up on my Facebook Marketplace so I can sell different types of breads that I make, because I can't enjoy it, but somebody else can. And I'm trying to get through all the stuff that I have at the house that I can't have. But I had a small piece of this last night, and sourdough is good for your health. Eventually, I might be able to have it, but right now, with having heart problems, I'm trying to watch the foods that I'm taking in and to lower my blood pressure. So anyways, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification for my next video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you, guys.